Hello, sir.
Gurin gashi nan wurin shago gurin gidan malam gudun nan wurin shagon da wurin nan registration
Okay, good evening, everybody. Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Good evening, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Good evening, sir. We can
Good
hear
evening,
you.
sir. Good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, so let me start by saying sorry to everyone for the delay in starting the class. I It is not intentional. I've been trying to join since, and my network has been throwing me out. We couldn't even set up the meeting link, let alone even trying to join the class. It's so stressful since. Okay, so tonight we are looking at accounting for um, we're looking at element of cost accounting. So we started the class by introducing, when we introduced the class, the syllabus earlier before, we talked about how the syllabus is divided into 6 parts. Are we together? Talked about how the syllabus, if you have with me, please respond. The class is going to be brief tonight, but I want to make every moment of it worth your time. And also so that I won't be wasting my time too. So that everybody can at least at the end of the day get value for their time. All right, so we talked about how the syllabus is divided into 6 parts. The first part was focusing on management information, which we have covered by breaking it down into around 5 or 6 topics. 5 topics. The second part, which we'll be looking at, is the accounting for cost elements. Accounting for cost elements, and under the that section, we'll be looking at three topics majorly. Now, any material that you produce in an organization is a function of, or any item of cost in the organization is a function of three things. Number one, there is the material part. There is the raw material that you bought. If you're not the tutor, please put off your video, and yes, and you only speak when you are required to speak. All right. So organizations that are especially manufacturing, they consider the what is the cost of the material they produce, how is these materials accounted for, and then who are the labor that will put into place that will help us to produce this thing. Before, when we were doing commerce in our secondary school days, we're told that four basic elements of production, four basic canons of production. We have land, labor, the premium, and one other one. So now the second part of this section is labor, and then we have the overhead. So for every material that is produced, we get to look at the raw material that was put together to produce the item, and then we also look at the labor that worked on producing the item, and then the overhead. Overhead are basically expenses that relates to the production of an item, but you cannot directly trace it to the department that incurred the expenses. For example, in an hotel business, the cost of running the generator is an overhead. it's an overhead for them. As a matter of fact, it's a fixed overhead. Because whether the rooms are all occupied or not, the light must be on, especially in the night. So it's an overhead. But then they cannot say because all the rooms are not on, then they will not follow the generator. Or a manufacturing concern will not say because we are producing 10 quantity, they will not put light in the admin department. Or because they're producing 1 million quantity, there's got to be double power, double light in the admin department. No. These are all and many more are part of the fixed. Um, they're part of the overheads that an organization has to incur. So today we'll be looking at the labor part, counting for labor, counting for labor, counting for labor. All right, so we'll be looking at three things under this topic. Looking at three things under accounting for labor, and the first thing we'll be looking at is how do we classify labor? How do we classify labor? The classification based on direct and indirect labor. Who what do you know this is a direct labor? How do you know this is an indirect labor? So we'll be looking at that. Then we'll be looking at the remuneration methods that are available for labor. Before you remunerate, you must be able to know how to calculate the cost of that labor, and then we'll look at labor turnover rate. Okay, so we'll be looking at labor turnover rate for our class tonight. Are we together? Hello. If we're together, unmute and speak up. I want to hear you.
Yes, we
Yes,
are
sir.
together, sir.
We're
Yes,
together,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
We
we
are
are
together.
together.
Yes, we are together. We are together.
Yes, I'm
We are
together.
together, sir.
Yes, sir, we are
Together.
together.
We are together, sir. But sir, you said the
We are
class is
together.
divided into 6 parts. So you only mentioned two.
So I mentioned two because we have already discussed the six parts before, and the syllabus breakdown. You have a copy of it of the ICANN syllabus for management accounting. You have a copy. All of us here have a copy of it. It has been posted several times on our group, so you can consult that and find out the rest of the other parts of the syllabus. But we are picking it syllabus based on how it is arranged in the syllabus and we're on the second part of it. All right. So today we'll be starting from um, labor direct and indirect cost. Labor cost. What is labor cost? How do you differentiate between direct and indirect cost? And if that is the only thing we can do before we start yawning, end it there. And I would implore us, please, wherever we stop, try and read it up. In the next class or before the next class, post your tough questions. Post the questions, the areas you need clarity, post it on the group so that it can be attended to. All right, so we are looking at elements of labor cost. How do you know what is the difference between direct and indirect cost? I want
Direct
somebody
cost.
to attend to me.
A
Okay.
direct. Okay, sir. Can
Hello.
I speak, sir?
That lady should speak first.
Okay, sir.
Okay. The difference between direct and indirect costs, for me, direct cost is a cost that can be traced to a particular line of production. But indirect costs are those costs that cannot be traced. If you want to trace and you cannot figure out, okay, this is in this production that it was used. So
Okay. The guy.
Okay, sir. I have a similar answer to that, but indirect cost is cost that are usually irrelevant to the production system.
I want another person to also contribute. Ikwemusa, I'm with you.
Okay. Okay, good evening, sir. I will agree with what the first speaker said. She said direct costs are those costs that are directly attributed to the production of a particular goods. But indirect costs are those costs that not directly, they are generally, whether the production or not, those costs will
Bill.
still be incurred. Hello, sir, did you get that?
Yeah, I got you very well.
Thank you,
Can you
sir.
hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
All right, so the first person said direct costs are costs that are traceable and relevant. The second person used the grammar that I'm trying to get clarity upon for the differences between direct and indirect costs. All right, so the major distinction, there is distinction, there is difference between them. Are we getting it? Now, before we go into differentiating between direct and indirect costs, we first need to understand that when we are looking at labor cost, when we are looking at labor cost, labor cost consists of salaries and wages of employees. Are you getting me? Sorry that I can't share screen as well in the class. Sorry that we cannot share screen because I'm joining with a different device. My laptop has not been connected with internet whenever I get home, so it's a story for another time. All right, um, so you first need to understand that labor cost, are you getting me, comprises of number one, basic wages. Basic wages comprises of basic salary of employees, and then in some organizations they allow for payment of overtime. Are you getting me? Then after that, you also look at bonuses. Bonuses. Bonuses can be in form of employee compensation, can be in form of when the organization decides to just reward loyalty of employees. Bonuses. So everything that is being paid out by an employer that is going to that is being paid out in form of compensation by the employer to the employee is called labor cost. Now, we must also understand that it is not all of this amount that the employer wants to pay out that the employee will eventually get. Why? Because the laws of the land that we are in has already mandated the employer to remove to take away some deductions in the name of tax. And these deductions are like payee and so on and so forth. Are we following? Is that clear to everybody? That's the
Yes.
composition of labor cost. All right. Now, direct costs are like, according to what you have said, they are cost of labor. Direct labor cost, I mean, the cost of goods, cost of labor cost. They are the cost of direct labor employees, and indirect cost are the cost of indirect labor employees. Direct labor employees are those that actually work on the goods and services that are produced by the entity. They are the ones that work directly on the goods and services that are produced by the entity. So if our company is producing TomTom, from the line of production of TomTom, who are those who actually worked on the production of TomTom? Are you getting what I'm saying? These are the people that we look to consider as direct labor employees. And by the time you are calculating the cost that is attributable to those direct labor employees, then you are calculating the direct labor cost. Are we following? So in order for you to understand the direct labor cost, you look at from the A to Z of this production, of this process of production, who are those directly and actually worked on the production of these goods from A to Z in the production line. Those kind of labors, those kind of stars are deemed to be as direct labor employees. And the cost incurred on them, like I said earlier, they are direct labor costs. Now, indirect now are those that are they work for the organization, they work for their efforts are significant, but they are not directly linked to the materials that is being produced. Who can give me an example of this kind of people?
The marketer.
That marketer care.
Accountant.
Who was mentioning that?
Human resource department.
Accountant.
Accountant.
Can we say
Human
contractor?
resource department.
Human resource department. Contractor. What is the contracting? What are they doing?
Formal salary.
Manager.
4 months ago. The manager. Now you are talking. The managers, especially the senior managers.
ACTI.
Somebody must have offended the entity
Supervisors.
before.
Me.
All right, so we are all saying the correct thing, which means we know what we. I think that shows that we are really following the class. All right, back to what we are saying. If the activity of an employee is not directly linked, is not having a direct relationship with the material they produced, those kind of employees are deemed to be as the indirect employees, indirect labor employees, and the the costs incurred of them are indirect labor costs. Now there is an exemption to all these things. These exemptions are especially for especially for indirect labor employees. There are exemptions. There are two categories of people that you cannot treat as indirect, no matter how much you cannot trace the cost incurred on those things. Number one, idle item, idle item, or the cost of overtime premium. So idle time is when employees are paid and are available to work, but they are not doing any active work. The reason why they are not working is not by their own doing. It is because there is maybe, for example, there is no equipment, there is no materials from the suppliers, and those employees are idle and they are there. They are willing to work, they are available to work, but there is no work for them to do. I get what I'm saying. So idle
Yes.
time now arising from no orders from customer, arising from no work to be done until the next orders arises. Those are exceptions to indirect. You cannot count that one as indirect because they are willing to work, they are available to work, but it is the organization that does not provide enough work for them to do. The idle time should not be treated, idle time should be treated as an indirect. However, in order for you to treat idle time as indirect cost, you must be able to identify amount of time that is idle. You must be able to identify the amount of time that is idle so that you will not be miscalculating what you need to calculate. Are we getting it? Then overtime premium. Overtime premium are also indirect cost, but you also need to be able to calculate them very well. Are we together? I'm not hearing you. Ajoke, Ajibade,
We
Agbo
are.
Blessing.
Yes.
All right.
Together.
Okay. So how do you now record labor costs? There are different systems depending on the organization for recording labor costs. There are different systems. There are different ways, but there are also main ones. The main one is payroll records. Payroll records. How much are you paying? How much have you promised to pay them? That is how to cost the labor. Then MC. Those of you that in your organization you used to start clocking, or you are when you get to the school in the morning, you go and sign, you go and sign in, you go and sign out. You are being paid based on the cost per hour or cost per day. That is how to calculate labor cost. Another one is to um, is time record, any form of time record that is available for at the disposal of organization. So within a cost accounting system, both direct and indirect labor costs are recorded. and then they are charged to appropriate cost centers and cost units. The cost of the records of this labor cost includes within the double entry cost accounting system. Are we getting it? Especially where the
Please, you are
costing
not
system is
audible.
being
You
used
are
to.
not very audible.
So it is
Hello,
nothing
sir.
outside of the
The
double entry
volume of
that we
your
already
mic
know.
is very low, sir.
Just that here, till now, can you hear me now?
The vo-
Can you hear me now?
yes, it's better now, sir.
Yes, that is better.
Okay, I think it is. I have to change location. It is the network again. All right. So, like I was saying, it is. There are different ways. Let me take that part again, for the benefit of those who weren't hearing me properly. There are different ways you can calculate the cost of your labor. Number one, what I said, is the payroll. You look at your payroll. Your payroll will contain the name of your employees and the different amounts that each of them earn. And at the end of the month, or at the end of the period, you're able to ascertain this is the amount you have spent on labor for this particular period. Another one is timesheet. For those of you who are teachers or you have taught before, you remember that in the school, you sign in the morning, you sign out in the afternoon. So they use that to calculate if you are at work for that day or the number of hours they are going to pay you for. That's for that. Then you can also use time records. Anything that keeps records of the time that an employee has worked, that keeps records that an employee actually worked and shows the number of time, the number of hours or minutes that the employee spent on that work is suffice is enough to count to calculate the number of time or the amount of time or the amount of cost that an employer is incurring on the employee. So, as an accountant, employers make decisions from whether gross pay or the amount withheld by to various parties. The double entry is necessary to reflect this is achieved by two journals. Then the first recognizes the payroll expenses, while the other recognized a series of creditors representing the parties to whom payment should be made. So you don't just sit down and assume. You get in, you grind in, you look at it must obey double entry principle, and then each of these staffs, each of these employees are well taken care of. Are we following? Hope my voice is audible enough now.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So, how are they remunerated? That is the first part of the topic. How are they remunerated? So I will drop some assignments here for us on the group so that we can attend to them at our free time. So you can attend to those assignments at your free time. How is these employees remunerated? How are they remunerated? How are they paid? How are they paid? So who can give me an idea? How do you pay employees? For those of you that are practicing accountants already. I need ideas. So
Okay. Can I speak, sir?
yeah, please.
Okay.
Please. Yeah.
Good evening. In my organizations, they pay employers by calculating the number of times they came to work and the number of times they actually worked. Like some people can just come to work and they'll thumbprint and they will go. So they have been calculating the time they came to work, the effort they have been putting in the work, not just staying idle. And if at the end of the day they completed the 26 working days, so that's how they have been paid. Mm, where I work.
Okay, can I be heard?
I like
Yes.
the last part where you work. Yes, try.
Okay, in my own opinion, I would say how they calculate pay, how they calculate pay rate. It could be by number of time or the work performed by each staff. Some companies pay by the time, maybe 8 hours, while some companies pay by work, the number of work completed. Thank you.
One more, two more persons. Two more persons. Passion, your hand is up. You can speak.
Okay, good evening. Um, Organizations in question, like my own, they pay them according to the hour they work. On the hour they work, they are paid for the time spent and not the. Generally, we call it a time rate system. So this organization in question is the render services. Oriented organizations like mine, I don't know, they pay hourly. And the time and their total earnings is the hours worked times the rate per hour.
Total earnings now, total hours worked multiplied by rates per hour. Please let us be taking note of all these things. I know the reasons why I'm asking everybody to contribute, not just because I don't want to feel alone in the class.
Hello?
But there is things you would also gain from your colleagues. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you, sir.
We can't hear you clearly.
How about now?
We can
Yes.
hear you, sir.
All right. So I said I am intentional about asking your colleagues to also speak to the class. Not just because I don't want to be left alone talking to myself, but that there are things you would also benefit when you hear your colleagues share from their perspectives. Do you understand? All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So I need another perspective to how labor costs are calculated in the organization. Felix, Miracle, Flourish, Fumilola, Gabriel, I want you to speak. Nobody is saying anything.
Okay, good evening, sir.
All right, go ahead, someone.
Okay,
Yeah, we can hear you.
in my own organization, what we use is the timesheet. At the end of the month, you are required to fill your timesheet. You also indicate the hours work. Everything will be filled, and you will have to sign, and also your supervisor will sign. This will all be collated and submitted to HR for payment. So if you don't fill your timesheet, obviously you will not be paid. It means that you did not work for that month. So that is how we do it in my own organization. Thank you.
Fantastic. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
we can hear you.
Can hear you.
All right, so thank you for all the contributions. Now, there are some organizations that they pay employees a fixed salary per month, right? There are some that pay employees fixed salary per month. Some people, the payments varies based on the number of days you come to work, and then somebody said 26 days, and that's because the person works on Saturdays. If you don't work on Friday on Saturdays, then you are left with 22 days in a month. All right. So wherever the method that is being used to calculate, these costs are located to the department that you all work in. So they will know this department is the human resource cost, which includes the labor cost and every other cost associated with the production of the material. So if an employee spends half of his time on one type of activity and half of the other type of activity, the cost of the labor will be divided into two. So employees are paid by per hour, and maybe they complete some few pieces of work and all that. But then those that are fixed, those that are fixed, they are also calculated based on the pre-agreed contract between them and the employer. There is also this time-based where somebody said the number of hours worked multiplied by rate per hour. It's very correct. Very correct. That's another way you can calculate and remunerate labor. Another one is the piece of work system. Piece of work system. Piece of work means that you want to travel from here to the UK, but you have not passed Lagos. Then you will be paid for the pass, for the park to pass Lagos. When you get to another level, so when you get to another point, you'll be paid based on what you do. And at that point, it will be whether the work you have done can either be calculated using percentage or using share. So, for example, somebody is working in a textile company who is sewing clothes, buttons. You are paid 20 naira for every shirt that you complete. And in 1 week, you're able to complete 800 shirts. You know, automatically knows that 20 naira per shirt multiplied by the number of shirts that person is able to complete. That is the cost of that labor. So you can use the piece of work system, and then you use the differential piece of work system where put a range from so number to so number. This is the cost. From so number to so number, that's the cost. So when you put a range to it, you enjoy differential piece work system. Put a range to it, and then an employee is paid in the bracket of that range. So if the employee had earned lower than the amount they are assumed to be earned, they will still be guaranteed the minimum wage rate. And then there is incentive schemes. Whether the organization wants to motivate you to work very well before the end of the year, they'll tell you that they will give you rice for Christmas. That's for that those are incentive schemes. So some of these incentive schemes, the aim is to increase productivity of the customer. It is basically it helps to increase productivity, helps to boost individual performance and help them work as a help the group works as a whole. Helps the group to work together as a whole. All right. So tonight we will be calling it a night from at that point. I will drop some. Thank you, Mr. Tutor. You can stop streaming. I would, so I will drop some questions for us on the group for us, an assignment, and then we'll continue from here by next class. We'll continue by from this place. That's labor turnover from our next class. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest
Good night.
of the evening. Any question for me?
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate, sir.
Thank
Good
you, sir.
night. Good night.
We
Good night.
appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.